Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. It's the evening after the night before. It's probably the latest we've recorded, Dan. How you doing, my man? How you doing?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. I think, I do want to apologise to everyone that's listening because no doubt a lot of you will have been, constantly refreshing your phone. Those of you that have hit that blessed bell icon and are waiting for the
The
waiting for
goats.
the upload for the two of us. I do feel for you. I do feel for you because I think this is a lot later than both you and I would have liked to have sat down and got talking to this mate. But sometimes after a win, especially when they feel as sweet as they do yesterday, when they've been that long a time coming, you got to go out and enjoy yourself afterwards, haven't you, mate? So with
Exactly.
a couple of sore heads, we've finally joined forces. We're back on the pod, mate, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Likewise, brother. Likewise. But before we get into what was just a massive win and a fantastic day, we do have a message from today's video sponsors. Dan, have you ever wanted an app that collates all the scores and news from your favourite teams in the whole of Europe, Dan? Have you ever wanted that?
Is a constant need of mine, mate, because there's always news. That's the thing, is that we love this game. We love the industry of football because it's ever changing, mate, and you need a place to keep up with it all.
And we have that place exactly
We
for you
sure
guys.
do, mate.
It's One Football. Guys, this app is genuinely, it's life-changing.
It's great because I actually I use it. So it's great because it's where I pull the stats from for the podcast. So it's like there's all that new stuff as well, but you can track all of the players' stats from like across Europe for all the different leagues, for continental football as well. It's a dream. It's a dream. And the best part, mate, is it's free.
It's free, and guys, it would help support the channel massively if you check that One Football using the link in the description down below. We promise you guys won't be disappointed. Everybody mentions the advert,
Yeah, mate.
guys.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't checked out One Football, make sure you do so using the top link in the description. It helps Dan and I out more than you could ever know. And I know on the last episode I mentioned it's helping Dan get a car. It's also helping me fix my car. So please, guys, please download
Yes.
One Football. I appreciate it can be quite tedious, the advert.
You know how back in the old Facebook days, we used to like one like equals one respect. Like
Yeah.
right now, one click on that link is doing the most, man. Yeah, it
Literally,
really is.
get us back on in our wheels again, please, guys.
Yes,
Um,
please.
oh God, but yeah, I mean, guys, I'm still so buzzed about it. Dan, it almost doesn't feel real. Brighton 0, Aston Villa 2, and I've had to pinch myself again. Watch match of the day back, watch the highlights back, make sure that what we witnessed was real because I had a massive case of deja vu. And Stevie G did too because the play was entirely the same as his first game in charge, not only just in the score outcome, but in the way Villa, not necessarily set up because that was a bit different and that is something we will get into, but in terms of the game plan and how that was executed, it was identical to Stevie G's
Mhm.
first game and sort of letting Brighton have the ball. We'll talk team news first, Dan, because the shape and the personnel, it certainly had a lot of people talking online, like Noemi Buendia, Stein, Ings, and Watkins. I think people were in meltdown before things had even kicked off, and of course, how silly are they looking right now, mate? Because the boys got the job done.
Myself included, right? I just got to prep it, myself included. I saw people like this is the thing, man. This is the thing is like I saw people obviously were pretty up and down about Douglas Luiz retaining his spot, and as we've discussed on the podcast many a time, mate. It's one thing saying that you should think we should take him out of the team. It's another one saying who do you think should come into it. So it's not that easy to bench Douglas Luiz whilst the sort of, we've not got Marv, Santos not six. Great to see Big Tim come on and hopefully we get to see a bit more of him for the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, at that time, he'd still not yet played for Aston Villa. So chucking him in to anchor that midfield before he's played a minute of Premier League football is a big old ask on such young shoulders. So I didn't really mind that. But yeah, Buendia being dropped because that he's starting to he was starting to get to a point where it felt like it was like almost first name on the team sheet stuff. Like
100%.
he's been our best player for a good period now. Like even when we've seen old reliable Emi Martinez, Ezri Konsa, John McGinn have like little waivers in form of late. It felt like Emi's really going the other way. His trajectory was on the up. So, and especially to take him out for the benefit of the Ings-Watkins partnership, which hadn't and hasn't worked for the longest time. So yeah, it certainly raised eyebrows, mate. And I felt like it was one of those where it was really good in the end that we did go and get the victory, because otherwise I think Stevie would have had a lot of questions to face based on that team selection. But what do we know, mate? What do we know?
Exactly. We're just here. We're just chatting absolute nonsense and insisting that we're right all the time. What I liked about this, Dan, is we've seen Stevie has and rightfully so stuck to his guns for the most part. But if you look at how that everyone of course initially thought it was the 4-3-3. Everyone thought it was Ollie out wide, and or like Coutinho on the left, Ollie on the right, Ingsy down the middle. Whatever it wasn't, it was the 4-4-2 diamond, really, as kind of demonstrated here by the average positions. Dan, I don't actually think you can see this, but you'll be able to see this in the future.
Up by chance. I have them up as well.
There we go. I've got it ingrained in you so deeply, Dan.
Yes.
My love for average positions. But as you guys can see here, first of all, look at how narrow both Ings and Watkins are. You practically can't even see Watkins' number because of Coutinho on top of him as well. But we really were looking to play them in a pair in this game, and having Coutinho kind of at the top of that diamond. And do you know what? I was a fan with it. It's not something I'd like to see all the time, but this is a system, Dan, that we've seen Danny Ings play in so many times. He is a guy who I do still believe can lead the line by himself, but has for the longest time been a striking partner with somebody. And I feel like this is how, if you want to get both Ings and Watkins in the side and get the most out of them, this is how you're going to have to do it, Dan. You're going to have to play this way. And it's quite interesting because I thought Villa were quite conservative in this game, as we were again last time. We let Brighton dominate the ball for large portions of the game when it wasn't being ruined by the referee, of course. But the fullbacks, you look at the position of both Cashy and Dean. I think this is the furthest we've seen them pinned back in the average position since Stevie's come in, which is very sensible to obviously stop the threat of both Cucurella and Lamptey, as you guys will be able to see on the screen. You can see how far forward they were. And Villa weren't giving up. We weren't surrendering space anywhere for them, sort of in behind the defensive line, which was always going to be a big thing. We were happy to let them have the ball. We were happy to, and in wide areas as well. I think we put a lot of trust in both Dean and Cashy to get the job done. And I don't think by any means this was Dean's finest hour in a Villa shirt. But I mean, we have to talk about Matty Cash, don't we, Dan? Because he opens the scoring in such a spectacular fashion.
Yeah, mate, I was really happy for him, and a lovely sentiment with the message that was directed with Thomas Kaziora. But players really need to still receive bookings for this stuff. It really is, mate. It really is, especially when it's like so commonplace now in football. Like it's not like a sort of rarity. Like this is something that happens all the time. But I mean, on the subject of bookings, mate, just before I come back to Matty, I was watching the game, and there was one thing that came to mind. I was like, you made a call a few weeks ago for Villa to have a bit of a dirty streak, to up the tenacity, to be a bit more physical and a lot harder to play against. And I mean, I think did we take that a bit too far? Against like the amount of bookings that we were racking up, like, we had across the team, it was 4 for us, the same on the other side for Brighton, 5 for the Villa, compared to Brighton's 4, and it really felt that we weren't going to give up on that, and it was scrappy and it was heated and tense, and the tempers were flaring and everything like that. And I thought that was nice, mate. And hopefully that sort of eased the a very good point that you made the other week, is that Villa, we do often feel a little bit too easy to play against, and I think you could certainly say that wasn't the case on Saturday. But yeah, Matty, great goal, mate. Brilliant to see. It's always good to see him score. It's always good to see him show the end product that he has, that he doesn't show enough. There are moments, I think, of the ball into Coutinho in the Leeds game, where Coutinho takes it on the half turn and finds the bottom corner. It's a great cross into his feet, and I didn't really feel like it was spoken about enough at the time. He's got a couple of goals, both really well taken this season. It's like we know it's there. We know it's there. We know that Matty clearly has the ability to do these things. A few people I was watching the game with made the very good point that yes, we've seen him shank that into the north many times before. But yeah, it's gone in, and it's a really nice moment for him. Good that we're starting to see goals creep in throughout the team when we haven't had Ollie being as reliable this season, and Danny, as said, because of everything that's been going on with him and Ollie and everything, he's not found his form. And I mean, JJ is our top scorer this season, which on one hand I love, but on the other hand, when we've invested so much money as we have done this season, to have young Jacob Ramsey as our top scorer is not something that I don't think will inspire too much confidence in Villa fans. So nice to see the goals cropping up for the team, and we do. I feel like it was well deserved at the time. I don't think it was the best start by Villa, but I actually think I thought, considering how we started in previous games, it was a lot brighter. It was a bit more purposeful, and I think we got the goal that we probably just about deserved on the balance of play.
I think the important thing for me about the goal, and like importantly as well, the build up, it wasn't a cross is put in. I think it is delivered by Dean, and Cash is quick to react. The cross is headed away. He's in acres of space. He gets the shot off, and the minute he sort of sets himself to take that shot, you're thinking, God, because as you said, mate, how many times? Of course, he scored the worldie against Newcastle, or was it Everton? One of the two. He's done that, but we've seen it so many times since. He's blazed that straight over. But seeing how quick he was to act on instinct there, and the play was switched pretty quickly. Again, I can't really credit Villa too much on that because it was a cleared cross and the initial cross wasn't brilliant in itself. But that's what I want to see more of. The way to really wear down teams, and we will see this over time, we'll see this a lot more, but the way to wear down teams is to you need to switch that play from the fullback to fullback. You need to see that so much more. That's how you break down top sides. That's how Villa have conceded so many goals. Look at when United, City, Chelsea, Tottenham, look, and when we've played all of them guys, that is the way that they wear down a defence. And I want to see that a bit more from Villa, but I think that we can half credit the initial cross. It is a nice switch of play, which I think is nice. Hopefully we see a bit more of that, as I said, mate, because goals, contributions from the fullbacks is so important when you're playing a narrow 4-4-2. Douglas Luiz didn't have a brilliant game at all, mate. Did not. I don't really have that much of like a substated opinion to come and sit on here, but I feel like, and guys, I'm sorry, I'm a Morgan Sanson apologist. I just am. But when he came on, like, he isn't a 6, as we've discussed before, Dan. But the way he reads the game, the interceptions, the blocks that this man makes, you can play him anywhere. Morgan Sanson can play in goal. He just knows the beautiful game. And I think for now, I don't think it does us any harm to start Morgan against Southampton in that number 6 position. He always looked proactive when he was on the ball, always looking to run to the corner flag, get across into the box as well, which you don't necessarily expect from your DM. But at that point, Villa were dominating. Villa were on top of the game in terms of the score. And Morgan Sanson, please, I just want to see this man start. I want to see this man play a full 90 minutes. And I want to see him do what I know he is absolutely capable of, Dan, and dictate a midfield.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. I think it was a bit of a disappointment, I have to say, seeing him left out of the 11 again. Man, it feels like, I don't know, mate. I don't know. There is a huge part of me that thinks, because, to reward a good performance, we'll go and change into Southampton. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with that, but it wouldn't surprise me, especially as, Gerrard's stuck with this midfield throughout, a really bad run of games. So we finally won one. There is a part of me that thinks that it would be surprising to see him tamper with that. But I think you're absolutely right, mate. I think there is. We both have been championing the Morgan Sanson cause for a very long time. I think he's a wonderful player. I was only watching some highlights of his from his Marseille days, about a week ago now. I know you can do amazing things with compilation reels. I know you can. If you put together Anwar El Ghazi's best moments in a Villa shirt, you could make him look like Cristiano Ronaldo. You really could. But there's just so much to his game that I really feel like we've been lacking in recent games, and I think John McGinn was back to his best. I felt against Brighton. I thought he put in a lot better of a performance than he did the week before. But we need someone to compensate for when John isn't quite on his day, and for all John McGinn's brilliant qualities, he's not the most consistent. It's hard to think of a run of like 3 or 4 months where he's consistently putting in good performances week in, week out. It's always he's excellent for 3 or 4, then he fades away for 2 or 3, then he comes back for a few, then he'll go away again. And it's sort of, I get because of the nature of his game that it's very different to play in that sort of ultra physical, ultra tenacious, 1,000-mile-an-hour performance and shine week in, week out, because it's not always easy to do that against particular oppositions. But, as I said, when he's not the most consistent, it feels like Sanson is. I feel like his game is a lot more technical based. It's a lot more based, as you said, on his knowledge of the game, and it's easier to show that regularly because it's natural and you can see it comes very easy to him. And I'm yet to think of a performance where I think, God, Sanson had a stinker today. And yes, I know you've got to take that with a pinch of salt because he doesn't play very much, but. Yeah, he feels like a very underused asset, mate. Very underused one, and I think he's got a point to prove right now. And I think, to be honest, wherever you put him in the team, he would really want to try and do well because he definitely deserves a run. I mean, he must have been tearing his hair out looking at the midfield in recent weeks, mate. So I think in this period between now and the end of the season where nothing is too certain. We haven't really got too much to play for. I think maybe experimenting with. I saw you tweet about getting some minutes behind Tim and everything like that, which I totally agree with. It feels like a good time to experiment.
Yeah, I think we're 2 wins away from knowing completely where we are. Do you know what I mean? I think, of course, as we mentioned, like in the last episode, I don't think we are freighting relegation ourselves, Dan. But you don't want to get sucked into it, so you have to keep winning games. And I think 2 more wins and you're completely fine. You're completely out of the woods, and that's when you can look to integrate a Tim as and where. I was so impressed by his cameo, mate. He's got the builds. He's got the awareness, which was the most impressive thing for me, because when you watch under 23s, under 19s football, now I wasn't at Villa Park on Monday. I know he got sent off, but I heard by all accounts he had a fantastic game prior to that. There isn't youth football isn't played at the same intensity or even tactical nous as Premier League football. It just isn't. So seeing someone come on as young as Tim, and everywhere he goes, he's scanning. He's looking for danger. He's checking behind him. He's looking where he can receive the ball from, where the threats are coming from. I'm scanning now. I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm nowhere near as good as Tim, and there is certainly nobody coming behind me to steal a ball off me. That's for sure. But that's really impressive to me. You can't teach that. You can't teach that. It's instinct, as you know, mate. And it just really impressed me. It was a nice little cameo. Won all of his duels. A crisp passer of the ball as well. I think he released Watkins late on as well. There was a really nice opportunity that could have came from it on another day. Which again, that was really nice to see. I don't want to get too carried away. I think it's nice because he's got the profile, he's got the build of the type of six Villa need to look to recruit. And obviously I tweeted about him earlier, as you said, mate. I'm not saying he is the answer to all of our problems by any means, but get the minutes there and let's see how this guy can develop, because as Stevie said, he's a project. And I find it quite refreshing to hear him talk about it like that as well, because I think sometimes we do forget, with the whole Carney contract situation and how some people are getting quite aggy with that. Villa not only has a responsibility of course, we're in the business of winning games and doing whatever's best for Aston Villa Football Club, but all of the people who are in charge of the academy, all of the coaches, who have worked tirelessly over the years to develop these players. And I know Tim's come from the Baggies, but you know, the work that has been put in over the past few years to make sure that he has a good chance. You know, we owe it to players like that to give them the opportunity as and when they come up. I'm a very strong believer of that. So hopefully we see some minutes for him. And I think it'd be rude, Dan, before we end the podcast, not to talk about two players who combined for the second goal. Two who I feel like we've been a bit hot and cold on. I think it's fair to say on the podcast recently. And I'm fully going to title this Ollie Watkins is back. And I'm fully going to get stick for it in the comments because I've made my opinions fairly clear on him recently. Man, he needed that goal.
Bro, it felt like a huge sigh of relief, and I have to give him huge credit for the way that he took it. It makes it a bit more interesting than it comes for one of Ming's often loathed long balls. Look, I don't think it's like a sniped through ball. I think there is a good element of fortune in it. It's pretty poor defending from Brighton, but the intent is definitely still there. But Ali took it like he would have done last season, and that was really good to see. That was really good to see. I still think he's got a lot to do to get back to where he was, but this definitely feels like a huge turn in the road. He's got to go and now back this up with more similar performances. But yeah, man, like it's never that we it's been hard not to be too critical of Ali. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get like sucked into you and I thinking that we've got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? Or that we're being hypocrites or anything like that. Like, he's been stinking for a pretty long time now, and he's obviously had some stuff going on and everything like that. So we've never been too harsh, but we've always been saying that like it's time to look at Danny because Ollie just wasn't doing the business. Certainly did it on Saturday. That goal, as you said, mate, you could see in his face how much meant to him. And the celebrations between Danny and Ollie were lovely, mate.
Let's talk about
weren't
that.
They? Like, it's really nice to see that because it would be so easy for there to be a tension between the two of them. Like, in fact, I would go as far as saying that I would almost expect it because look, like Ollie from the word go is obviously going to be looking over his shoulder at Danny. He had a very good season last season, and we just go and buy one of the most prolific English strikers to have graced the Premier League in a long time. Immediately, we try and change the way he's playing from up front on his own to in a two, and we push him out on the wing, and all of a sudden he's not starting in some games, and then he can't get a run of form going. Meanwhile, Danny Ings is chomping at the bit, ready to go, coming up, like taking his place as a substitute. It'd be easy for there to be animosity there. Strikers always. And especially when this might mean that Danny Ings' grip on a place in that first team is loosened even further because Ollie's now back in the goal, as it seems. For him to react like that and go over and be so supportive and so happy was like, honestly, I would go as far as saying I was just as happy by seeing that as I was with seeing the goal because that is someone that is just really relieved to see a teammate, back doing what way they do best. You must be seeing like what Ollie's going through and the work he's putting on the training ground, how it's not working in games, and just to see that emotion between the two of them was, I think, a huge credit to Danny Ings. But yeah, as I said, mate, the credit needs to go to Ollie for a very well taken goal.
Absolutely. And I to be fair, I've been like conspiracy theorist 101, like Danny and Ollie hate each other, all this kind of stuff. So it was nice to eat humble pie and see that celebration. It was really wholesome. I don't like the badge tap. I can't lie. I don't like the badge tap because you don't mean that. You don't. No one does. It's not a personal thing. No one does. You're only setting yourself up for failure in the future. You're only that's always going to come back and haunt you. The badge tap always does. But listen, I'm so gassed. I don't know. I now I know you say you're questioning the ball, Dan. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. He aims for Veltman, the weak link in the defence. Obviously, as we've alluded to in the preview, mate, Swiss Army knife player, just much like Callum Chambers. But if there's one thing he isn't a centre back, and the past 3 games for Brighton have absolutely proved that is a position he should not look to occupy ever again in his career. But the ball from Mings, albeit was quite reactionary. I think if you can see from the average positions here, you've got Lamptey well in this half. Of course, this is not an accurate depiction of exactly how the goal came to be, but you can see the considerable gaps between Lamptey and Veltman, and it is a little bit of hit and hope, but Ty hits the right area and finds the weak link, which is the most important thing. And for what it's worth, Ty had a really good game. He did. I thought it wasn't bad at all. And Coutinho almost has a free kick that goes in. All in all, Dan, a clean sheet, 2 goals, away win. The boys are fucking back. Let's go. It feels good. Southampton's next.
100%.
We're back. The feel good vibes are back at a Villa filler. I think just for our and our audience's mental health, Dan, we all needed that win. So I hope you guys have had a good weekend, because Dan and I have partied a little bit too hard. But it's got to be done when the Villa boys win. So many apologies for the late uploads. If you guys haven't checked out OneFootball, make sure you do so. And I know what you're thinking. Honestly, it's becoming a joke now, right? It's becoming a joke. They're here. I'm going to pick the winner. Don't worry, that's going to happen. But make sure you subscribe, because the subscriber growth has slowed down, quite a lot. I appreciate we've been fairly poor, but if you guys are listening to this, watching this on YouTube, and you aren't subscribed, make sure you do so and hit the bell button so you never miss a video. That's it from us, you guys. Thank you very much. Hit the like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more. Up the Villa.